Hey guys, I try to find every reason not to blame things on balance, but um, the game is freaking out. There's a huge problem with Blitz. For some reason, I'm having trouble with the game right now. Um, this is Comet Catcher, so people are gonna say, well, of course, this is a vehicle map, so you should play vehicles, and there's higher level players
Game
that make
started.
Blitz work or that make bots work, and I mean it's doable, but I think I was always of the opinion that this game is really freaking out on me. I've been doing my best to get bots to work for a long time, but if you just look at the stats for these units, and I've been talking about it a lot. Um, this is Comet Catcher, and it's going to be for most of the game, we're just gonna spam Blitz. That's all we're gonna do. It's a wide open map, so obviously it's vehicle favored. But if you look at the vehicle stats, I don't think that. First off, a Blitz costs about the same or less as the cost of a hold on the cost of a pawn or a grunt. And if you kind of just look at the cost for certain units and kind of look and see what you are getting for what you're paying for in terms of build power, metal, and energy, it's just kind of silly. A lot of the things just seem arbitrary. There's outliers, like a Janus costs 4,000, a Pounder costs 3,000, stuff like that. But it takes 2 to 3 Blitz or grunts to fight a Blitz or an incisor. But the energy and metal costs are way up there. Um, and in terms of energy, yes, this is a win map, or this is a map with no win. Actually, it does have win, but it doesn't let you build it because it's so bad. Um, but when you are investing in more, when you're investing in more build power, that in itself costs energy. Um, so if you pay 1,600 energy for 2 grunts versus what is it, 1,000 or 1,100 for 1 blitz, that energy alone will add up, which will um allow the player with the vehicles. Vehicles are comically low build power for what you pay for compared to bots. Of course, I will say that thugs, anything bots will usually beat vehicles head on. So that's why on a map that's really trench warfare, you want bots. If it's wide open like this, you just and blitz require no micro. You just send them to die. You just send them. You just keep sending groups and groups of them to take out the opponent's mechs. So what this map comes down to is that you do this opening, and then you spam blitz, and you try to sneak in as many cons as you can and just constantly replace them. And you're always trying to take all the mechs while you're constantly losing them, because any amount of LLT is not going to be enough to fight off Blitz for whatever reason. This is the only match I won against him out of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches. And I've been practicing bots against him for a long time. It just doesn't work. So you open with rover spam. Try not to let the rovers get any value. You make a light amount of LLT, but also LLT is not enough to fight off rovers because they can just get into a blind spot of the turret while it's turning, which this is another thing I think is really stupid about this game, is that a lot of buildings block turrets. I think it's incredibly stupid and bad for new players. Like stuff like that. Talking about balance, if you guys have ever played Supreme Commander, light units aren't combat units. It becomes really cancerous when you have a unit that moves fast, doesn't, and it should have its only role be a scout unit, but then it's also a combat unit, so it's filling like multiple roles at the same time. You make these units and they make the unit just it doesn't have a specific role. It has every role. It's really stupid and annoying. I also don't think that these maps are I don't think these maps are big enough for like the move speed in general. And this is just, again, coming from a person who played Supreme Commander. The maps were much larger, I think. Or at least they felt larger. Definitely, you didn't have early game harassment units that could get across the map in like, I don't even know. I haven't even timed it, but maybe like 10 seconds. I think this is just like a design philosophy issue. Of course, these rovers, being the scout units they are, can destroy Blitz. At least something can. So I'm happy with how I played this. I learned during these matches that first it was like I don't want to build any LLT because that slows down my expansion, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe I make a ton of LLT and also a lot of cons, and I guess you can sneak in a con turret at some point, but really there'll be like, you can delay the con turret so much because the Blitz are so cheap on build power. You just keep the Comet home and assist out cons to grab mechs, and then when you have the metal, you just start spamming out Blitz. And then you get a Blitz every 5 or so seconds. It's frustrating because I see this and I'm like behind on army value all the time, and it's just like, oh well. Like, part of it is that you just have to be aggressive But the next thing I learned about this is that vehicle cons are incredibly good, and you can just use them to reclaim before taking mechs. That'll keep you in the game. That'll keep you pumping out units. And as you can see, Blitz require no micro at all, and they can idle for ever and still do damage. And they're faster than anything else T1, so don't even bother chasing them. We'll see many examples where it only takes 1 to 2 Blitz to take out a light laser turret. That's gonna happen a lot. But yeah, this is just gonna be a matter of just overbuilding LLT, replacing cons often. Radar is absolutely I like saying radar is OP, but radar is definitely a game changer. As you're expanding, try to sneak in radars whenever you can, so that you can respond to attacks. But also, don't expect to be able to respond to attacks right now, because in these higher level lobbies, like, I'm gonna see how far I can take this, but it just seems like you have no choice but to spam Blitz until every max is taken. Everything is all from the front to the back is just completely covered in LLT and beamers and, like, well, turrets in general. You want to try to do damage without leaving wrecks, and basically it boils down to who's the first one to be aggressive, and who's the first one to be aggressive, spamming rovers, making tons of cons, replacing their cons. Who's the first to start reclaiming off the ground with their vehicle cons. Those will all decide the game. And yeah, if you do damage, when you do damage to somebody, you just have to, like, I was winning a lot of matches. I was taking out tons of expansions, but then he just reclaims everything. So that's incredibly annoying too. So what kept me in the game for a lot of this was just reclaiming stuff off the ground before he did this time. Because the game before this I lost because he was reclaiming before me. Now you want to sneak in con turrets whenever you can, and to counter roll off from the factory, meaning the downtime between when the unit actually leaves the factory, you just build multiple factories. Because at a certain point, and I don't know what that point is, build power is not going to be as good as building another factory to keep the turrets that you already have working. I'm sure we'll get at least one turret out of the deal. If that was microed a little bit better, would have just plowed through all that. Yeah, I'll just be spamming Blitz and spamming Blitz constantly until he starts making stouts, basically. And I'll be trying to sneak in as many cons as I can, which will allow me to build turrets on the front. Even though, like, they do kind of trade well against Blitz if they outnumber the Blitz. I don't know. Beamers are really good. This was a miss micro over here for him. Like, I'm building... It's been a long time since I played this game. Or, not this game, but I played a game against, like, a higher level player, and he was... I didn't really understand the rationale behind having so many cons. And, like, see, I'm only building these turrets on the front after I've taken all of the mechs available to me. But, the priority is reclaim, then mechs, then turrets. Although, I've been building turrets before my mechs just because rovers are so stupidly oppressive that you feel like you just have to build them literally everywhere. Just don't expect being able to respond to them, and if you build rovers, you're just... If you build rovers to counter rovers, it just doesn't feel good because those rovers could have been more Blitz. You'll see, usually the unit comp will shift when the person who's behind on map control is starting to feel the pressure. And we'll need to rely on splash damage and stuff to deal with everything you're sending at them. But this was huge. I'm really not sure how he's keeping up on build power or on units, but he is. So here's another really stupid thing about the game. A Blitz costs 2,000 build power. Costs 110 metal. For twice the metal, you're paying 2,900, which isn't even nearly twice the cost of a Blitz. It's just stupid. It's just dumb. This is arbitrary. There's no reason for it. It shouldn't be like this. We really need to be honest with ourselves. It's not like, oh, skill issue. No, once you're getting to the point where you're able to spend all your metal, you're going to be spending stuff like, you're going to build vehicles to blow through your metal as fast as you can, and then you go for the units that are higher build power cost. So I would only build bots in situations where I just don't have the metal to spend in the first place. But in this case, I'll be going for more vehicles because I can't spend I'm struggling to spend all my metal right now. So I just need to build more and more energy. So that's what looks like what's putting me behind right now, is that I didn't make as much energy as him. And I'm fortunate that he's, making a ton of Whistlers. You only need a few of those to provide vision, if that's what you're using them for. But what wins me this game is that he's rallying a lot of stuff into these turrets. From this point, it's just going to be a whole lot of posturing. I'm going to have to keep an eye on the mini-map because he can just send all this stuff straight at me, and if I'm not looking, it's going to ruin my day. I guess I'll poke and prod for this. Like, it's the same thing. I'll just be like keeping him honest, making sure that he's paying attention. See, as soon as I attack, he can send this blob in. These things are going to be stunned for like 30 seconds, something ridiculous. But I'm ahead on metal, so I don't really have to fight him. I wasn't really aware of that at the time. I didn't notice that I had more than half the map. Like, what I really need to concentrate at this point is that I have all this metal in the bank, and I'm not spending it. And one of the things I can do is just use units that cost less energy, or make units that cost less energy. You can't get much more efficient than where we're at this point, spamming vehicles. And this is going to be huge, so I'm going to drop everything and go for this wreck pile and start getting all the reclaim before he does. And it would really suck for me if he did. Well, I'm finally catching up on energy. Yeah. He's rallying to the wrong spot, so this was fortunate for me. Really, the only reason I build a bot factory is to get res bots so that I can reclaim all this stuff really quickly. Here's another annoyance I have. I've been playing team games, and people, there are people that will, under any circumstance, res, and it's not always appropriate because resing is slower than reclaiming. And if you need the metal, if you need the metal, you need to. If you have no metal to spend on units for your factories, you should be reclaiming them. Also, if you have no hope of ever claiming that wreck field, you're just feeding that metal by trying to res. If you can't control the metal field, you have to reclaim as much of it as you possibly can while you have the opportunity to, rather than feeding it to the other team. Beamers are really good. Now, I hate core. I hate playing against core. I mean, I don't hate core, but I definitely do hate playing against core. I'm really, the more I've been bashing my head against this wall, it just seems like any map that has the potential to leak, that isn't just like the terrain isn't wildly in the favor of bots, and that would be one of the factors, the potential to leak. Not like so hilly that vehicles have a huge difficult time traversing. I just don't see any reason why not to go arm and spam Blitz. Now, I think incisors have a similar problem, for sure. That you're just really not paying for what you're getting. But Blitz, you can just send the die. Incisors, you actually have to micro and kite with them, which is, you know, generally the thing. I don't like. How do I put this? I don't know. generally with with ARM you have to micro more, which is why I avoid playing ARM. But in T1 you have pawns and Blitz, and those are just like send them off to die. They're gonna plow through everything anyway. And core will have to kite. But core gets slower units, so core doesn't have anywhere to kite them to. You have like the but oh my god, words. Fucking I'm thinking of this stuff in real time. Core has slower units that can kite and have longer range. But the problem is because ARM units are faster, you're always going to be on the defensive, so you rarely are in a situation that would plausibly happen between the two most skilled players. I don't think, like, this is how I think of it. Fuck. Words are so difficult. I don't see a plausible situation where a core player has much room to kite before it's hitting their resource production. I think your only saving grace is reclaim. So maybe this was a huge thing that I learned this match. So I mean, take this stuff with a grain of salt. Because one of my biggest struggles was I was doing Blitz. I've been doing this for a few days now. Just spam Blitz. Try not to let them. Try not to feed too much, and also reclaim everything that's given to you. It's really important. But I think like the main thing is the energy cost, because you're not spending that energy on units. You're able to build more turrets, stuff like that. And this is the desperation bombing run. You can very comfortably build AA in your base.
Commander has self-destructed.
Like once you start winning, just send your comm back to your base and then make these expensive T1 anti-air things. That'll do it for you. They're very expensive, but when you're 6k ahead, you can comfortably build AA in your base. It's not a huge sacrifice. Here's a map that's vehicles. We can show one that this is before I learned the power of reclaim. This is another big map. So it's a Blitz map. And people in Twitch chat were like saying, yeah, I got to 50 OS just spamming Blitz. And the guy has like less than half my playtime. I'm like, really?
Game started.
5 chefs are beating me, 2 chefs are beating me. Because they're spamming Blitz. No, I see no problem with this. I just need to get good. If you can't beat them, join them. I wasn't too sure how or why I lost this one, so he's got... I think he's sneaking in more cons than me. I guess like you can get away with building LLT if you just also overbuild cons. Someone said another strength of building cons is that they don't feed.
Battle ended.
Oh, I did win this one. Let's just blow through a bunch of replays. I'm not gonna have too much to say about them, but this is just, you know, they're all gonna be Blitz spam. I can show you a match that would make a new player quit the game.
Game started.
He sends his comm out. Okay, so he opened with solar and then let his vehicle factory build rovers. So he can have no build power on his factory and still be super aggressive. Making no sacrifices. And then send it back once his comm has taken some extra mechs, and then send it back and then just start spamming Blitz. This is how he gets more Blitz than me. So we open with solar, basically. So open with solar, grab mechs with your comm, send them back. Let your factory make rovers without being assisted. This one is wretched,
Game started.
devious, disgusting. This is a bot map, right? Plenty of wind. Well, he sent his comm out, so obviously don't send your comm out to walk.
Battle ended.
This guy was about 25 OS. This is a bot map, right? You should build bots. There's plenty of cliffs. Right? Wind's high.
Game started.
There's energy reclaim. Looks like this guy's been assisting his factory. He has 4 pawns out. I have 7 blitz. He has 4 pawns out. I have 7 blitz. Can't possibly defend everything. I'm just gonna keep building blitz.
Battle ended.
He had 4 pawns out. I had 7 blitz. I'm not sure if... I think this will be the last one.
Game started.
If you want to play this build, like we saw thing earlier, grab some X with your comm after building your factory and getting cons out. Surely these Centurions will... Well, they're not defending anything. Centurions are really slow. Not combat units. I mean, they're not units to be aggressive with.
Commander died.
Yeah, it's pretty pervasive right now. It'd be hard to show a good example in an AV8 because things just go wrong in AV8s, but in most maps, I think if everyone just spam Blitz, the game would be over in just like 5 minutes. Oh, 8 horses. Okay, well, have a wonderful day. I'm gonna get off.